Hey guys, just a real quick video here. I got a 2011 Toyota Sienna. It's 3.5 V6 front wheel drive. And what we're doing here is we're replacing the brake pads down here in the bracket for the caliper. There's a bolt top and bottom here that you'll take out right here and down here at the bottom on this back side. Can you see that, Jordan? There's one top and bottom. Just goes right through here. And that's your bleeder valve there, but your pads are squeezed by this piston here, and I just set the new pads in here. But I took this off. I'm going to set it up here out of the way so we can work on the rest of the car. And let's see if I can set it right there. Alright, and I unbolted the other two larger bolts. They're 17 millimeter on the back side. There's brackets back here, top and bottom, and this slides behind the bracket, and then you put the bolt through and screw it in. That's the larger size bolts here that goes through that and screws in. That's the bracket that holds your brake pads and goes over your rotor. We're replacing the pads. These are the new ones. And they'll slip in here with a little spring I can show you. Get my hands cleaned here a little. But it's just got a spring that holds them in place. That will push down and push against them, top and bottom. So probably the easiest way to do it is tilt the pad inward as you're going in with it. Let's see if I can lay it on my leg and do it. And get it behind this clip, top and bottom. And then just push it to where it's level and bring it in where it's level here. And what's going to happen is your rotor sits right in the middle of that. The edge of this is your rotor, the thick metal here. I'm replacing this with a brand new one. And you'll bolt these in on the back side. And that caliper sits right on top of here, bolts in here and here, and when you apply your brakes, it squeezes these pads in on your rotor and won't let your wheel turn. This one's old and rusty, and the old pads are pretty worn. The other side was even worse. It's worn at a little bit of an angle, you can tell, and the rotors themselves have seen better days. This set on this side wasn't near as bad as the other set. We're doing all four. But anyhow, these pins here, you'll want to take these out. And sometimes they're difficult to get out. Let's see if I can get it by hand. I'll have to use something to get that out of there. But you take the pins out and you'll put an anti-seize on it. I think I can get this one out here. Let's see if I can get the rubber off. That'd be easier. Peel back the rubber. It don't have to come off. And then get a hold of the pin and pull with all your worth. Car keeps popping. There we go. And you'll notice on your pins, you clean these up really good, and you put an anti-seize on them. The bottom pin does not have a plastic around it. The top pin does. So you'll note the difference on that when you get it out. But clean this really good. Put your anti-seize on it, which is this goopy stuff, and a paintbrush. Anti-seize. That's what it says right there on the bottle. I can get that off, but you just brush it here on the end of the pin, and you really don't need to go all the way because it makes a mess if you do. I'll show you real quick. This anti-seize is kind of old and kind of cold, so it's probably a little thicker than you would, get a new one at the store. But just bring some down here, and it keeps these pins moving, because your caliper is bolted to this pin. So what it'll do, it will, when you let off the brakes and the fluid recedes back in, it will allow this the caliper to move and not grind this inner pad all the way down. The other inner pad was way below that lettering. I mean, it was right almost to the metal. And you have to have this on here. And if you don't do this, I don't think you've got a complete brake job. But we'll stick that right back in the hole. Push it in. See if I can get it in the hole. Push it in and pop the rubber over it. Work it back a little bit. And it just lets off just a little bit on that caliper so your inner pad doesn't get worn to frazzles. I got my little pad clip come off. Might have to take him out, put him back in. On the front side. I don't think he's going to go in that way. Yeah, this is not a good part for the video. There we go. Okay. Just angle it in a little bit. get it behind the tabs and bring it in. Let's see if I can get it in the bottom. If you get it in too far in the top, it won't go in at the bottom. But that's about right there. And it'll set right over the new rotor. This is the old rusty one, but it'll set right over there and bolt in. And you bolt your caliper in up here. Let's see if I can get this one off. Show them the new rotor there, Jordan, if you can. You get it out of the box already?
Yeah.
Alright, I don't know if I can get that out and knock the pad off again. Don't put the pads in before you get the pins out. It's watch your leg. Boy, that doesn't want to come out of there. Alright, well go ahead and pause it. You'll notice on the top pin it's got this plastic sleeve running around it. The bottom pin doesn't have that. This is all anti-seize that I just put on there. I showed you that, didn't I? Yeah, I think I did. Anti-seize lubricant. Just paint them. Sometimes they're real difficult. They are real difficult to get out of there. I've cleaned it out, and I'm going to run the pin back in. This one has a little more pressure to it to get it out because it has that plastic sleeve around it. But just run it up in there and catch the rubber around the inside lip. And then it just sits in there, and you bolt the caliper into it. I've already done the bottom one and set it in there. So we're ready to put this back together. And I had taken the pads out because I had to beat on that one to get it out of there. Well, I guess we can do the bracket first. And I found that it is easier to put the pads in before you set that back there, especially this back area here for the pads. So see, we turn it just like that. And I will angle it in slightly at the bottom and the top. I pushed too much on there. Darn it. Hold on just a second. It just keeps falling off of there. I've played with them too much. There we go. And just set it down in, both sides. And I need to put a thumb behind it, I think. Get that bottom to go in there. Well, I tell you what, I never had so much trouble. This would be a better angle to do it. Alright, got it in there, pretty snug. Pretty level. Do the other one. Like that. That went right through it again here. Just has to take a little getting used to doing it because it should be on the vehicle, but I find it usually find it a little easier to do it here, but today is the exception to the rule. Alright, I'm going to set this right over here, and we're going to go ahead and get this rotor off here. And unlike Hondas and others, I found, mainly Hondas, there is no screw on this. But boy, sometimes you have to beat the holy tar to get them to break loose. This center will bind up right here. Give me the orange mallet there, Jordan. Ow. And I will see if this one will decide to come off or not. I thought maybe there was a screw under here, but it's just a rubber plug. There's no screw on these, so. Back up just a hair, Jordan. Give me some more room to swing. This is like a weight transfer hammer, but a regular steel hammer, small sledge can be used. Well, we may have to pause it, come back a little bit. Now you can also run 2 screws in here. I don't know the thread pitch. You have to find 2 screws, but you just drive them in with your ratchet a little at a time, and it'll work it back off for you as well. Go ahead and pause it now. Okay guys, after a lot of good beating with the hammer and so forth, finally broke the rust ring here. I sprayed it with a PB Blaster. I also hit it with some sandpaper, but mainly just, you know, walloping to break this loose and it come off. And then I looked for a second, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the pads are not even, breaking up onto the whole full rotor. It looks like it's really been heated, very hot, very rusty. These are original from 2011. I'd bet you $1. But I had a flashback to my 71 Nova when I looked in here and I seen these drum brake kit on the inside. That's for your emergency brake when you apply the emergency brake in the van. And I thought, what the heck? What? No, this is disc brakes. This isn't drum brakes. Oh, this is the emergency brake for stopping on hills and so forth. Once you put it in park, they'll come out and apply. Well, my 71 Nova that I had was just like that, and just brought back memories. I love that car. I built the entire motor, and now I'm disabled, so I can't do stuff like that. I mean, it's everything I can do to just get these off of here. But we're going to set this old rotor aside. It's extremely rusty. Could possibly be turned, but we just went ahead and got new ones. Now this rubber right here will pop out. It's kind of difficult to get it out of there. The new rotor does not have that in there, so I'm going to try and take this out. It's just like a little rubber plug, but you don't want no water or stuff getting in there if you can keep it out. But it doesn't come easily, I can tell you that much. I like getting it out, but you just stick that right back in your new rotor. I don't think it's an adjustment. It might be where they can stick a tool in here and adjust. Probably down here, but I'm not sure that adjusts out for your drum brakes. Spread it out or bring it in with a brake tool. All right, hand me the new rotor there, Jordan, if you can, with one hand. I need to get my hands cleaned off. Well, let's go ahead and pause it because we got to clean that rotor with brake fluid. Make sure there's no grease or... Okay guys, we got the new rotor in place. We put the rubber plug back in from the original. This is the new brake set on the bracket that holds the caliper unit in place. I'll be real careful and try to get this in. Now these can be a real booger if you don't get them just in the right spot. Let's see if I can get a bolt started here. Just find the bracket on the back. Can you see down there at all, Jordan? Can you put it back there? I got the bolt going into the bracket, and then it goes in, or into the finger, if you will, that sticks off of here. And then you align your bracket hole in there with it. And it can be real tricky. You gotta just barely move the bracket and keep, pushing in and try to thread the bolt. Let's see if I can get it here. Might have to pull out just a bit. Let me see where the hole is. Okay. Alright, not having luck so far. Come on, we're on camera here. I need this to start working. Okay, the hole's here. There. Bring it in a little. Alright, move the camera. I'm going to put my head back there. I can't see it. Try to keep your feet out from under. And I'm bound up pretty bad, so it's hard for me to do this. But that's what you do, top and bottom. I'll get it here in a minute. You can go ahead and pause it, Jordan. I don't want to watch me struggle. Okay, we've got the top one started here into the back of this bracket, going through, and then I went down here, going a little more with the video. You see that one? And I got this one started. Don't tighten the first one. You'll never get the bottom one in. Whatever one you start with, I'd probably recommend the top. It really don't matter, but I hang it off the top and then I'll start the bottom one. But finger tighten them in, use your ratchet, and then I take a medium size 17 and I'll give it some wax with my big impact hammer. Nothing super heavy duty, but you've got to have this bracket in place and tight. It holds the brake caliper on there. But I'll take that big orange mallet right here and I'll put that in there and just whack it and bring it down to where it's real tight. I'm sure there's a torque spec. You can look that up. If you got a torque wrench and get it in here. I don't have a lift, so I don't think it would even fit in the wheel well, to be honest with you. But as long as I've got some really good strong pulls on my ratchet, and then I hit it a few times with this, and it's tight. I know it's real tight. So that's what you do. You screw those in place, and then you'll just bring the caliper around and make sure that line's not twisted. And you'll push these bolts all the way in here, as far as they'll go. Kind of difficult to do, but push like heck. Bring them all the way in, and then that'll set there and bolt in, and they slide over these pads right here. I'll get those tightened, this bracket tightened, these all the way in tight, and then this will slip right in. But what I have to do is I have to compress this cylinder. I've got a large C-clamp. Where's that C-clamp at? You see it over there? We have it out here, I know we do. Where's it at? Don't see it. Oh, here it is, right here. I'll compress it with that C-clamp by going behind it here, and then this end on that side, I'll compress it all the way flat. You want to get it completely flat back in there. We'll show that in a minute. Go ahead and pause. Alright guys, we're going to compress the caliper back. This one's going pretty easy. If it's working in there like, I mean, you're bending the handle here on this, you probably need to replace it. It should go back in real easy like. I slipped off there, but shouldn't be a whole lot of pressure on it. They get seized up. Not really much you can do after they seize up, but cry about it. Write another check. Take it in there. Get you some new ones. I'm not bleeding the brakes in this way of doing it. Got the new rotor in place, the new pads. The bracket is extremely tight on there. I pushed the piston back all the way in, and I've pulled these in as far as I can, so I'm hopeful that they will slip behind here. And it seems like they might. It's going to be tight. Alright, get those aligned. Now these you can see a little better, so hopefully it won't be as much trouble to get in. Put my little greasy fingers on the end of it, might help. I just kind of work it around slightly until, not too far. Until the head starts screwing in. Screw these in, start them in by hand. Or by fingers, you don't want to finger them. But get them in place, and don't tighten one, like I said, before you get the second one in there. You'll have a real difficult time. See if I can get it to go. And here on the bottom one, I think it's going. Yep. All right. And this is a 13. Was it 13 or 14?
I think it was 14.
14. Let's try 14. Yeah, that's 14. The bigger ones in the back was 17 millimeter. These are 14. We're tightening, I do believe. Bring them up. I snugged the first one. I had to use a box in because this shock is real close there. Bring that down tight. A little bit of grunting going on. Don't believe that's coming back off. Give it a little bit of love tap here. Alright, that is tight. Okay, so we got a new pad, new rotor. NICs on the pins, top and bottom, so that the caliper will move back and forth when it needs to. And we're going to move the old parts out of here. What else we got left? Everything's good. We didn't have to bleed it. We didn't open the bleeder valve. So we're set, ready to go. We're going to put it back together here. Put the wheel on it. Sorry about all the mess ups and stops and stuff in the video. I'm in a lot of pain, so I apologize. Well guys, we'll see you next time on the next repair video. I gotta go get this oil off my hands, put the wheel back on. Okay, talk to y'all later.